Burn injuries are traumatic injuries both on an emotional level and a physical level. Often the events surrounding the burn injury are very traumatic for patients.
Keira was always very empathetic, so much so that she'd always put herself at the back of the line to make sure everyone else got to go first.
On the day of Keira's accident, Keira and Haley had both been sick on and off, so we decided that we would keep them home from school and I would just take them to our local doctor. After lunch, I packed them into the car and we drove up to the doctor's office, and actually we were talking, Keira and I, back and forth with, should we buy the doctor tea or coffee? Because we usually always get them a drink. We pulled in through the drive-through. I took the coffees in from the window and then passed them to Keira, who was sitting beside me in the passenger seat. And then we pulled out and she started to scream.
There was 5 drinks in a 4-drink holder, and the first one fell and I dropped them all onto my lap. It was so painful I couldn't even cry. I just screamed.
And so I put my car in park and I got out and I pulled her clothes off in the middle of the parking lot. And I started running into the store with her where we had gotten the coffee. And she's like, no, Mommy, we're going to the doctor's anyway. Just take me to the doctor's. It hurts that you're carrying me, because her skin was basically falling off. We climbed back in the car and we went up to the doctor's. He was like maybe 60 seconds away.
And he immediately put cold stuff on and was trying to calm me down, and then we went to the hospital.
You're always used to being the caregiver, right? You can fix everything. When I saw the injury, it was very apparent that there was nothing I could do for her. After our initial visits to our local hospital, we were transferred to BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver. And by that time, she was like in full sepsis shock. They took her into the emergency room. I think at one point I counted 14 people in her room working on her at one time. She was quite lethargic.
She was like purple and like not very coherent. She had tubes and wires everywhere. Yeah, she was very sick. So once she was released from the ICU, she went to the burn unit. She would have regular burn baths on burn bath days, regular bandage changes.
Keira has had some unique challenges. She, for example, required dressings for a long period of time, even after initial healing of her burns, because there were some areas that were quite fragile. After these injuries heal, patients are faced with many longer-term challenges, including the psychosocial and functional issues with burn scars.
Before Keira was discharged, we were connected with the psychologist from BC Children's and the mental health team over there, which she then also continued to work with for quite some time. The psychologist empowered Keira to be able to own as much of the story as she wanted to, but also still having boundaries in terms of like the things she didn't want to share. And then when we got back to school, Keira was able to work with her teacher and her school, and she went in and had conversations with her classmates.
It's been 5 years now, and everything's mostly back to normal. I go to school and I like it there. I love animals. My dog Winston's my favorite. Burn camp was probably the best experience of my life because everyone's gone through the same thing, so they understand the pain and there's no judgment there.
Somebody asked Keira recently what her favorite part of her childhood was. And she actually, surprisingly, said her burn. And I think the reason is because of the team that she had at BC Children's and the community support that she's gotten from it and all the advocacy and championing that she's been able to do.
Through all of this, Keira has proven to be a remarkably resilient and strong young person, and she's become an advocate for patients with burn injuries.
I'm extremely grateful for all the staff at BC Children's Hospital that helped me.